Hey guys, thanks for tuning in today. Today we're going to do a miso glazed salmon. So we're going to go ahead and start with our vegetables first, get them chopped in a bowl, and then we can work on our miso glaze. I went ahead and preheated my oven to 400 degrees. And I lined the baking sheet with tin foil for easy cleanup. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start trimming up my broccoli. You can kind of see here on the bottom where all the florets are. I'm just going to start cutting along those florets. And this is going to break up the broccoli for me. So that way I can just throw it in the bowl and be done with it. So you can chop this up and cook it too, but I'm not the biggest fan of it. If you're making broccoli cheese soup, I always saute it up with like my onions and carrots, and then when you puree the soup up, no one's really going to know that it's in there. So it's a great way to add more broccoli flavor to the soup and not having to buy a whole bunch of just the broccoli tops. So I'm just going to chop up this broccoli, throw it in our bowl here. That guy's kind of a monster, so I'm just going to give him one more chop. Get all that in there. Those little ones are going to toast up nicely and be awesome. Before I get too worried about cleaning my cutting board up, I'm going to go ahead and peel my carrots. I got 2 to 3 carrots depending on the size of the carrots. And I'm just going to peel these up real quick. You can leave the peels on if you prefer that. You know, everyone's a little different, so if you don't care about carrot peels, leave them on there. Just make sure you wash it real good. So this one had a little deformed, but it'll be alright. It'll still taste good. And we're going to peel this last one up. And we should be all set. Alright, so I'm just going to kind of pick this up. If you compost, this is a great thing for your compost. If you make stock, you can throw that in a Ziploc bag, throw it in the freezer, and then when you get enough scraps or vegetables to make stock, you can pull it out of your freezer and throw it into your stock pot, and it'll be great. So I'm just going to cut the ends off my carrots, cut it in half, cut each round into half, and then since this guy's kind of small, just cut each end in half, throw it in a bowl. Do the same here where I cut the round in half, being careful not to cut my fingers. Chop the ends off. Cut the round part in half very carefully, and then putting it flat side down and getting 2 to 3 pieces out of it and throwing it into our bowl. And this is going to be great color for our dish, and also a nice little crunch too. Those guys are kind of skinny, so I'm just going to throw those in there like that. Take this and give it a couple chops, and we're all set for our carrots. Now for our onion, we're just going to cut both ends off. Cut it in half, and then we're going to peel it. And then all we need to do is basically cut a tic-tac-toe board into our onion. And by that I mean we'll take 2 cuts going vertically, and then 2 cuts going horizontally, and we've made a tic-tac-toe board in it. And we'll just throw that in there. They'll break up on their own as we kind of toss it a little bit. So we don't need to really worry about breaking up those onion pieces too much, because they'll do that on their own. And I got some edamame here. These came with sea salt, some don't. All I want to do is just be careful when I add salt to this, since there's already salt here. Just want to take the bag, add it right in, And now we can work on our miso glaze. We'll add this to the pan last, so we can kind of forget about it for just a second. So now we're going to take 2 tablespoons of miso paste. This is a fermented soybean paste that we're just going to add to our bowl here. It kind of smells and tastes a little bit like peanut butter, but there's a little bit of a soy sauce kick to it. It's great stuff. You can find this at most supermarkets these days. Some places will have a red miso paste and a white miso paste. This is technically the white miso paste, but there's living enzymes in it, kind of like a probiotic. So it will slowly get darker the longer you hang on to it. Just store it in the fridge, and it should be all right. So we got 2 tablespoons of miso paste, 1 tablespoon of brown sugar. This will add a little sweetness to kind of go with some of the saltiness from everything that we're adding. A little extra in there will be all right. Just make it nice and sweet like me. So then we need a tablespoon of soy sauce. If you're gluten-free, tamari is a good substitute. It's a gluten-free soy sauce. And then we're going to do a teaspoon of sesame oil and a teaspoon of rice wine vinegar. You can find both these in the Asian food aisles at the grocery store. Sometimes you can find them at some of those big box stores like Big Lots and stuff like that. And then just a teaspoon of ginger. I love these squeeze tubes of ginger. They save the time of having to peel it, chop it, or grate it. Saves the skin on your knuckles and so much time. And I just need 1 clove of garlic. Just going to kind of smash it under my knife and chop it a little bit. One trick I always do whenever I really want like a really fine piece of garlic, I'll kind of take it and press my knife into it, and this will kind of smash it into the cutting board and make it more of a paste versus like chopped garlic. So I'm just kind of doing that, and that's going to help break it down and get it all nice and mixed up into our sauce here in a second. So that is everything for our miso glaze, and I'm just going to mix this all up. I got a little pastry brush here that I'm going to be brushing it onto the salmon with. If you don't have a brush, a spoon works just fine to apply the glaze to the salmon. So just getting this all nice and mixed up and incorporated. And that's looking pretty good. It kind of looks like peanut butter, but it definitely tastes a lot different. So that's all ready to go, and now we just need to get our salmon ready. So I'm just going to put the lids on these and get a couple things out of the way. And now we're going to take our salmon here. And we're going to take it out of the pack. Thought my knife was a little sharper. And this is kind of already cut, but not completely. So you can see where it started to cut pieces out of it. So all we're going to do is just take our knife and finish cutting those slices out of the salmon. And we're going to place them on our baking dish here, or baking tray. We'll just kind of spread them about. Take our miso glaze, brush it over top of the salmon, making sure we get all of it covered nicely. This stuff smells great. Can't wait for y'all to smell it. and there's going to be a little bit left over. You can kind of just keep applying it to your salmon. You can add a little more, or add a little bit of vegetable, canola, or olive oil to it and kind of make a little miso dressing out of it. You can toss your vegetables in that. I was going to keep brushing it so that way we get a nice coating of miso on my salmon. So I mean, there's still, we can add oil to that and toss everything together with our vegetables, but I'm going to leave that there, and maybe we can baste it right at the end. So for our vegetables, just going to add 2 tablespoons of oil. I got a little olive oil here, a little black pepper. That came out pretty fast. Just going to give this a good little toss. Remember, the edamame is already seasoned with salt, and there's a lot of salt in the miso paste and the soy sauce. So I didn't add any extra salt to the veggies. You can if you want. So once you get this all nice and tossed up, I'm just going to kind of sprinkle it on the pan around our vegetables. So it's going to fall on the salmon. You just kind of pick them off. It'll be all right. This is going to be a nice one-pan dinner that once you've made this, it'll get in your weeknight rotation because it's so easy to do. The vegetables you can use can alternate. You know, you could do zucchini, squash, cauliflower, sweet potatoes. I've roasted green beans, asparagus. You know, you name it, you can throw it on a sheet tray and roast it, no problem. So I'm going to wash my hand real quick, and then we'll throw this bad boy in the oven for 20 minutes at 400 degrees, and we'll be all set for dinner. So this is all set to go. So we'll throw it in the oven. And with some TV magic, we have one done. You can turn on your broiler real quick, throw it in there, and you can kind of get that all nice and caramelized on there. That's ready to go right now. You can see where the broccoli's starting to get a little crispy. The carrots have a little char on them. The edamame are going to be great. You can just eat those. You just kind of pop them out of the shell in your mouth. Oh, so hot, so good. Oh, I can't wait to dig into. I can't wait to dig into this. I hope you guys enjoy it, and we'll see you next time.